Hello, welcome back to our short series about movement in Strype. We have seen 2-directional movement in the previous video, and now we're looking at 4-directional movement. So here I have an example where I have a spaceship and I want to move up and down and left and right. So I'm here pretty much where I was before with my Pong example, where I can move up and down. Nothing happens when I move left and right. So now obviously here I have added 2 if statements for the left and the right key press, and I can now do the same for left and right. This is essentially just more of the same, so not very much different, but I want to improve my code structure a bit. So one thing I have done is, you can see I have created a setup function here, and I have moved all the creation of the game components into this setup function. That is useful because as your game grows, your setup will become longer and there will be more in it. You have to then realize that if you're creating the player variable here, you have to declare it global so that it can be accessed outside of that function as well. So everything that you're declaring in that function that you want to create outside, you have to declare global. But I have also prepared a move function here. And that is because putting these calls in here, that becomes a little bit tedious and hard to read. So what I can do instead is I take this out of here. I put the player set location method call here into one of my own functions, which I call move, and I give it 2 parameters. That's the X direction and the Y direction that I want to move it with. So what I can do then here is I say I add to the X coordinate the X direction, and I add to the Y coordinate the Y direction. And then here, instead of doing this call, I just say move. And in this case, in the up, I want to move 8 pixels in the Y direction, and I want to move nothing at all in the X direction. So I do this, and then here I copy this. If I want to move down, I move 0 in the X direction, -8 in the Y direction. If I move left, I go -8 in the X direction and 0 in the Y direction, and so on. I go here 8 in that direction, 0 in this. So that's the first improvement I'm making. If I run this now, I can move left, right, and I can move up and down. I can press 2 keys at the same time, and that gives me sort of diagonal movement, so I can move around quite nicely. So that is the basics, but I want to make one further improvement, and that is, I think that movement is a bit too slow. I would like to move actually twice as fast. So I want 16th. So now I have to change this everywhere. Rather than having the same value, the value 8, appear 4 times here, it is much nicer to make that a constant in my program. So I can say here, I make a constant called speed, and I say how far I want to move. And I don't want this to be 8 anymore. I want this to be 16. I need to use this variable outside of this function. So I say I make speed a global variable. So that is my constant. And then here, I don't specify how far I want to move. I only specify the direction. I use 1 for positive, -1 for negative. 0 means nothing. So here is -1 and 1. So here, if I leave it as it is, I would just move by 1 pixel. So this would be really, really slow movement now, really boringly slow. But what I'm doing here now is I'm taking the X direction, and I am multiplying this with the speed. And I do the same with the Y direction, put parentheses around it for clarity, multiply it with the speed. So now I have here the same function again. I can run this, and now I'm zooming around here with much higher speed. So if I now want to change my mind about the speed with which I want to travel, I change it only at one point in my setup, and the whole program will adapt to the nice speed. So this is the basics of how you make yourself a function, a move function that is moving in the 4 cardinal directions, so 4 directional movement. And that's it for today. See you next time.